Let's go into a little more detail on parts management, ordering, receiving returns, posting and core credits, managing cores and sublets. Additionally, a little bit more how building a work order functions. Let's start with sublets. Just want to show you something on how this search function works here. I'm going to search for towing under our canned jobs. Now, this came up with 2 jobs, towing and a payment agreement. This is how robust the search engine is. Just because the word towing is in the verbiage from that payment agreement, it picked up the whole job under that search. So just wanted to show you guys that real quick. Let's go ahead and add towing. We also there's an Uber and a Lyft job in there too. Now, all jobs have the same data fields on them. They consist of labor, parts, hazmats and fees, and sublet. Inspections we'll ignore. This is if you want to add inspections for shopware. We're not using theirs. But sublet is part of the job. So on towing here, all we'll do is we'll go and put retail, cost, Chacho, or whoever we're using, invoice number, date, and then payment type. We'll go over that in a minute, how that works. So the cool thing about sublet being part of that, say we do a lot of these, Subaru engine reseals. You're going to do an engine reseal. You're going to price out all your labor, all your parts, and your sublet is going to be all part of that one job for cleaning and resurfacing the heads. So once you add that on there, once we have our past services really populated over the next couple months from all of our previous recs or previous services, sublet, which is commonly forgotten on stuff like that, or cylinder head jobs, clutch and flywheel, that sublet will stay on there and be a whole part of this job so it doesn't get overlooked. All right, now let's build something that's going to have a core to it as well. So just something cheap. Let's do a caliper. Obviously, these are our canned jobs. We're not using those. These are all the canned jobs. Stuff on our canned jobs are placeholders for the Auto Vitals inspection results, with the exception of all of our BG services, anything prepackaged where we're not going to have to look up parts and labor. It's all built, ready to go. Same with all of our sublets, waivers, and stuff like that. But let's say I just want to do a caliper really quick. Again, we're not going to use past services right now. We only want to use 2022 and later data for anything under past services. So let's go to the estimator. Now, the way this looks, I searched caliper, and it only came up with disc brake caliper guide pins and brake pads R&R. The reason being is in the parts catalog, or in the labor catalog, caliper is not its own job. It is part of the brake pad replacement. So let's go ahead and add that. So it's got brake pads front. Now we can add on a caliper each. You can also add on your brake lines and so forth. So let's go ahead and do one caliper. Let's go add our parts. Disc brake caliper. Cool thing too, you can obviously pick by brands and reman or not, but you can also just pick your position. So I want a front right caliper. Let's go to O'Reilly's. They have it in stock. Now, the reason I picked this because I want to show you this has a $65 core to it. So let's see how cores function. We're adding this job. We're adding this part to the job. All right, that is on there. Now the customer, let's get out of edit mode, and I'll say the customer authorized it, which I've already done on this. So we are ready to order parts. So it's super simple. I'm going to send this e-order through just to demonstrate how it works for you guys. And hopefully O'Reilly's doesn't get too annoyed. So we'll click our parts button. Here's the only parts we need. These are all needed. Again, if it's already been ordered, it'd be on order. If it's in progress, that means it is already in the building in inventory. We don't have to do anything with it besides put it on the car. So got my caliper on O'Reilly's. Now notice the core charge didn't populate here, didn't show up here, because it doesn't really matter. It's not part of our quote. So I'm going to go ahead and do direct order. Now it's on order. So we can close out of here. We got a confirmation number back. And what we're going to do, I want to show you guys this. That is now in our parts right now because that's ordered. It even shows the status on there, which is kind of cool. So this is not inventory necessarily. This is parts altogether. It has multiple things. So it has inventory, and it shows we have that caliper and that caliper core both on order. Those are waiting to come in. So if we go to orders, that stuff in process. There we go. So now the part comes in. I'm going to go ahead and receive that. So say I get my invoice, 1, 2, 3. Now this is where I wanted to elaborate on payment type. So this is kind of going back to the RO Writer days. There's a feature request in so that it automatically picks the correct payment type for each vendor, especially for our main vendors. But I like this because it goes to the right routing and accounting. For now, we'll do it correctly how it's supposed to go, like whether it's on account, like O'Reilly's and Factory and Worldpac would be, credit card if it was from a dealer. That's how we're going to do it for now. I'll update you guys later if, for best accounting practices, Christine wants it done differently. But for now, we'll put it on account. We have our invoice number in there. Let's go ahead and receive it. Now, if I refresh, that is out of the order screen. Because it's not on order anymore. And now it's in the purchases screen. So every purchase that's been received and processed will always live here. So when we're trying to match up the monthly statement and all that, you can pick a month, you can type in, factory or whatever vendor you want, and then you can go ahead and see the entire list in order that they're received from that vendor. So that's kind of a cool function. So let's go back to this work order. Now, we have our parts on here ready to start the job. Now, say we don't want that part anymore. I want to show you. So this shows one on hand and one in progress. So on hand just means we have a core in stock because we have not returned our core yet. This is one in progress because we bought and received one. It's in our inventory temporarily until that work order is closed out because there's one in progress waiting to be installed on that car and finalized. So what I want to show you is how the returns work now. So say this was the wrong caliper, we don't need it now. Let's go back into edit mode. We're going to delete that item. Now, if I go back to my parts, that's switched to one on hand because now I just have this caliper in stock on my shelf. It's not assigned to a work order. It's not going anywhere. So what we need to do next, go to both the caliper and the core. Now, if we were using the caliper, we would still do this process with just the core. So Sean and Chase, this is a great way for you guys to track your cores and make sure they're all submitted. You can, once you get the core, they take it, you can go ahead and return that core. So I'm going to go ahead and return these. Change the PO number if you want. That's the expected credit. All right, now they're returned. The status changed to return. There's all these filters here too. If you've got a bunch of return stuff and you haven't seen credit yet, you guys can go to returned and see and track what's been returned, but you have not received a credit for. There's kind of another cool function there. Now, because this is in process, it's not received yet because you haven't gotten your credit back, this becomes part of orders again. Again, orders are always parts in process. They're either on order or on their way to you or on the way back to the store. So now those parts come in, you want to go ahead and your credit memo comes in. Let's go and receive them. I got my credit back on account just like the way I bought it. Here's my return invoice. Receive. If you refresh, that's no longer on the screen again. That now lives again in this purchases tab, which purchases you can't modify, delete, or anything because this is your all-time history. Now, the only difference with the way this system's going to work, it's not going to come up often, but say you do an engine, anything you can e-order that has a core to it from one of our vendors, that again, anybody that's in that parts catalog, you will automatically have that core as a separate part waiting to be returned, so you guys can track it once it's been sent back to the supplier. The only thing that's going to cause a difference there, say I bought an engine from Jasper. I didn't e-order it, so I have to put this in manually. We're going to do engine. Create new part from scratch. That's what you'll do for all of your dealer parts, everything like that. We'll call it Jasper engine. Part number 123. I paid $2,000 for it and got it for 40%. There we go. Now, what we'll need to do, we'll need to add a second part from scratch with that called core. Two, three core. Jasper quantity on hand. And that thing had a $500 core charge. We're going to charge 0 because it's a core. Now we have those manually ordered or outside of the e-catalog ordered parts on the work order. We're going to do the same thing as e-order parts. We're going to go to parts, and these are Jasper, but as a vendor, but we don't have the ability to e-order. So what the order button's going to do here, once you get them ordered from that vendor, just go ahead and put in your PO and go ahead and mark it as ordered. Now you are tracking everything. You can show that it's ordered. It had a box there for me to put the ETA in, which I didn't do, but you can put that in too, so people can check on that. If the advisor wants to see, hey, where's the parts on that? They can go right here and see ETA for when that's arriving, right on the ticket. And now, since we have marked it as ordered, that's going to show up one on order under orders, just like anything e-ordered. So same deal, we're going to receive those. There's our engine and our core. Payment type on that, we use the Spark card. And refresh. Now that's no longer on there. Let's get out of there. Let's go back to our work order. I don't know if you noticed there, it showed in progress now because it went from parts on order to parts received. So it shows us our part status right there on the workflow in Shopware. So we'll scroll down here. Now the job's done. I went, let's go to edit mode. That was supposed to be 40%. That looks better. All right, now our core, we can delete off the ticket. That's for tracking purposes. So removed our core. Let's go back and look at our parts again. Now I've got this core on hand again. So we need to keep track of everything on hand that's not our regular stock items. What we're going to do with this core, as soon as Jasper or the shipping company picks up the core, we're going to return it. Now our order screen is going to show that. And again, for the parts guys, this order screen is going to be key because it shows you everything in process. This is stuff you're expected to show up to your store. This is the stuff you are expected to see credit for because it's already left your store. So you can really easily track all of your expected parts coming in and your expected credits for parts that have left. Now I received my credit. They refunded my credit card. Go and receive that. And again, that core part is no longer in the order screen. Now we go to purchases, and we've got our permanent history of that engine purchase and that core credit being received. There you go. So that is the basics of inventory management in Shopware. Chase and Sean, if you like this video, go ahead and smash that like button.